Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Simply Nerdy. This is Anthony, and I wanted to present a special feature about a game very special to me, which hits its 1 year anniversary today, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. The experience I had with this game was so profound that it has left an indelible mark on my life. It is easily my favorite RPG of all time, and a contender for my overall favorite game of all time, standing toe-to-toe with the masterful The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Allow me to tell you why. At its heart, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is an emotional journey, a game which makes you feel things keenly and deeply. Tetsuya Takahashi, the director of the Xenoblade series, stated early after the game's announcement that it would use life as its central theme, and the game's delivery on that theme is positively phenomenal. The narrative and characterization masterfully represent life's challenges and unfairness, while also beautifully showing the responses of people who are truly trying to find joy in their circumstances, and better the lives of everyone around them. The instantly relatable nature of these themes, a common thread in the human experience, is the driving factor for why this game can so meaningfully tear at the heartstrings. You're immediately thrust into this dreary world of endless strife and warfare, following the characters who feel unusually human, and join them on an epic journey where chance encounters puts them in a position to change the system of the world. The first impression the game delivers is just how difficult their lives are. Artificially birthed at the age of 10, cursed to a lifespan of only 10 years, spent entirely in the service of war. And yet it also conveys the value of life, driven home most powerfully by the mournful and heartrending melodies of the Offseers, who play their flutes to send on the spirits of the fallen. I do not want to say more for fear of spoiling the story. I will simply say this. Never before have I seen a story so beautifully represent the hardships and joys of life, and most of all, its value. In a world where it is so easy to take life for granted, being reminded so powerfully of how special it is feels nothing short of a revelation. The music is a vital piece in delivering this message as well. The game is overflowing with masterful songs that capture the emotion of the moment, whether it is sad, hopeful, desperate, or triumphant. I cannot say enough to do it justice. In a series already distinguished for its musical quality, this one seems to distinguish itself further, combining masterful compositions with the emotive force of a uniquely relatable and heartfelt narrative. I keep coming back to the soundtrack, eager to relish the hype, or to drink in that sweet, cathartic emotional damage. Something must also be said for the performance of the voice actors. Spectacular across the board. My ability to connect with the characters was directly affected by how well voiced they were. Noah, in particular, had moments that made me place Harry McIntyre, his voice actor, in the same tier as the legendary Adam Howden, whose performance as Shulk was heretofore peerless, in my opinion. So, the game is moving and meaningful. Got it. But how does it play? This is another area where I'm happy to say the game shines, though I will give this recommendation up front. Set the difficulty to hard mode, and don't look back. Some of this might be Greek to you, but let's just say that chain attacks are basically a win button in any other difficulty mode, and that's pretty boring if you ask me. Why appreciate the combat system if you don't have to engage with its nuances to succeed? In hard mode, on the other hand, chain attacks become more of a desperation move to turn around a party wipe, and they don't contribute nearly so much to the damage dealt, which instantly lends itself to a more strategic approach. There were so many cases when I turned a near loss into a win via this strategy, among many others, and every time was pure hype. The basic combat itself is also a joy, though I'm not going to turn this into an explanation of its mechanics. I will simply say that the combat in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 feels like a distillation of the best elements from the first two games, making for the best real-time action/strategy combat the series has seen yet. The addition of swappable classes, the Ouroboros abilities, and the option to switch characters at any time during battle, my personal favorite, are also series firsts that just make the combat all the more fluid and fun to play. Even after I had done basically everything the game had to offer, I still found myself coming back just for the combat alone. The world itself is also a wonder to explore, though I'll leave that there, because that's once again spoiler territory. It's a fantastical and fascinating place to explore, though, full of vibrant places to see and people to meet. And the side content on offer here is, at its best, virtually peerless in its quality. How was that not part of the main story? Was a question I asked myself more times than I bothered to count. This is probably the first time I've ever played a game where I did all of the side content because I genuinely wanted to. Now, I will admit that the game does have some technical challenges, most notably with frame rate. There are times when the game can stutter pretty noticeably, and it can be a bit distracting. I find that it tends to occur most often during exploration, though, while the battles stay much smoother, in my experience, so the impact feels minimized. I found that the technical issues were easy to forgive in the face of everything the game does so well. Finally, a word on the Future Redeemed DLC, which I will keep as spoiler-free as possible. A finer DLC I have never seen. It could honestly get away with being its own standalone game, between the differentiated combat, the new characters and narrative, and the sheer volume of quality content on offer. But, as a longtime Xenoblade fan, the way it ties up the wider series' narrative, I've grown to love so much, was the primary reason it was so magical to me. It was the perfect send-off for this fantastic story. Superlative as all of this may sound, these are my honest thoughts. I've never played a game so emotionally captivating and moving before. Most of all, the things it taught me about life and about myself are things that will stick with me for the rest of my days. Also, just as a fun note, my wife, who is not a big gamer, also fell in love with the game. And it was a lot of fun to watch her play and see her be captivated just as much as I was. So to conclude, there's a nearly mythological concept that has existed in the wider Xeno fandom for decades now. Perfect works. It is a term Takahashi himself coined long ago that was, in effect, an idealized vision of the narrative and message he wanted to deliver with his games. He's been chasing that vision ever since, despite budgetary woes that prevented it many times from fully coming to fruition. I offer this as my humble opinion. Perfect Works is here at last.